Let's be on the beat.
Good morning. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are across the world. Coming through with a follow up here and some a pretty amazing update and something that we have followed over here for a long time. Anything and everything alien related, right? One of the things that we have had a lot of conversation about, and I mean a lot of conversation about, is that alien interview video that was done by a man whose alias was Victor, right? It's the alien interview that seems to pop up, disappear, you know, that type of thing. But in this video, this is a 1.5 hour documentary, and it was actually a 1997 documentary, all right, that showed an alien being being interviewed. Okay. Now, many people have speculated over the years, what was this video real? Blah, 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 blah. Listen, this is an incredible piece of footage you are about to see. And then there has been an update. I'm about to introduce you to a man named Jon Stewart. By the way, I want to give a shout out to Momo. On this one. Much love. I really appreciate you. Now, you know, speaking of Momo has been a moderator in the LeakYou community for years, many years. And, you know, Momo doesn't always show up. She's not always around all the time. She doesn't deal with drama or none of that type of stuff. But I can guarantee you, if Momo was to drop down right now, she's got her blue dress on. She'll always have her blue dress on. She is a respected member. She's an OG of the LeakYou community. So, I say that because, I'm very fully aware of what's been going on in regards to people reaching out, sending requests. She's not going to accept it. So you might as well stop. Like, for real. Every single day, you send a fucking request every fucking day. She denies them and you keep sending them. Lie seeker, stop stalking me. Stop stalking me, please. Stop trying to get at me through other people. Okay. Now, I'll leave it at that. Okay. I probably, anyway, truth of the matter is a bitch knows what's going on and we're not going. Okay. Now we're going to stick to this real content here and fuck the YouTube drama bullshit. All right. Because this is very important. Now, you guys know that I've been getting these insane videos, right? That have been coming in. I've had an insane last 2 weeks. Somebody feels that I'm capable and has been sending me. I've gotten 3 videos leaked to me so far. And I still can't get over this tall white. It's a video. It's on my channel. You can go back, take a look at it. But right now, what we want to talk about is this alien interview and this new information that Jon Stewart is bringing to the internet. I'm actually going to try to get Jon Stewart on the show. I'm going to try to figure out how I can reach out to him. But listen, let me show you this piece. This is what
Or the Rancho Santa Fe tragedy.
Okay.
Victor made his attachment to his own earthly vessel abundantly clear.
And let me just state here publicly to head off any clever ideas anyone might be having. I have never been, am not now, and never will be suicidal.
But how would the public know if something happened to you since we don't know who you are?
I'm taking care of that, trust me. If something happens to me, if I die, people will know who I am.
Do you think it's a reassuring sign that these aliens can communicate with us on a spiritual plane?
It would be nice to think so, but I'm not sure if it's really such an achievement considering the mismatch between our intellects. I mean, you're not going to have much luck making your dog understand calculus. But if you pet him on the head and say, "Good dog," aren't you communicating spiritually? And doesn't the animal control officer say, "Good dog," when he comes to put some poor stray to sleep? Doesn't the vet try to reassure the animal just before he spays it? When you're dealing with beings whose intellect is so far beyond your own, I don't think it's safe to assume they have your best interests at heart.
What about the content of the tape segment you brought?
As I said, this is late in the series. In fact, it's quite close to the end.
Because of his unwillingness to reveal his own identity, Victor's story stands or falls on the credibility of the tape he supplied. Here, exclusively for the first time anywhere, is the uncut, uninterrupted alien interview tape, shown in its entirety in real time.
You removed the soundtrack from the tape before you turned it over to this program.
That's correct. I can't allow the voices of the project personnel to be heard by the general public. There's a very good chance their family or friends on the outside might recognize them.
Isn't your purpose in releasing this tape to expose Area 51 to the world?
My purpose is to expose the existence of the aliens, not compromise these individuals. I made the decision to come forward. I'm taking precautions to protect my own identity, and I don't think it's fair for me to put these others in danger of exposure. In any case, the interview on the tape went nowhere. It was interrupted, as you'll see.
Can you describe for us what we're seeing?
All right, we're looking at the interview suite at S4. It's kept dark for the comfort of the aliens. The figure who is just barely visible in the left foreground is the telepath, and behind the camera is a raked seating area for observers. Although in this case, I believe the only other person present was a military aide. The alien is seated behind a glass partition in a biocontainment area, which is maintained at biosafety level 2, the lowest designation. That's primarily for the protection of the aliens, not us. The theory is that if they were going to infect us with an alien bug, it would have happened 50 years ago. In fact, all the indications are the aliens eliminated microbial and viral life from their own ecosystem long ago. They aren't susceptible to our diseases directly, but it has been shown that microbes can reproduce and form colonies within their respiratory systems, which tends to exacerbate the debilities they seem to suffer anyway in our environment. In fact, you can see here the alien is beginning to flag. The interview was not going well. The telepath was trying to clarify some points from a previous interview, but he wasn't receiving coherent responses. As you can see, the being is in real distress. At this point, the telepath is sending out a message to the medical staff. He's trying to communicate with the alien, but he's getting no response. There's very little he can do. There's no direct connection between his space and the biocontainment area. That's the aide stepping in on the right. The medical staff should be there by now. They're slow in responding. There they are. I have to say the medical personnel at S4 are less than first rate. They tend to be selected for their willingness to keep secrets rather than their medical competence. By the way, he's not shining that light into the eyes. It looks that way, but in fact he's checking for hemorrhaging around the eye sockets and in the nasal cavity. I'm sorry. It's very hard for me to watch this.
You're asking me if I think this is real?
All right. Now, if you want to go watch the rest of this documentary, I encourage you to. I'm going to drop a link. Hey, what's up, Jaylee? I'm going to drop a link here in the chat for you guys. And so, yes, I absolutely believe Victor's story. But there is some new information that has apparently come to light. I now introduce you to Jon Stewart and Project Camelot. Shout out to Project Camelot. This is a Rumble. I think I'm gonna. Well, I already created a Rumble page, but I haven't really did anything with it. But listen, that is the interview in question. That was done in 1997. All right, and it has been, to this day, an absolute mystery. Right. There's no question in my mind these beings exist. All right. It's being hidden from us. And the United States government can no longer hide it, which is why I think disclosure is happening. But with all of that said, let's take a look, shall we? And again, I'm going to reach out to Jon. I've got to figure out if I can find his contact info because I want to bring them on the show.
I refer to Carrie as my sister. You know, I bugged her so much in the past 5 years that her patience level is this is an angel that will be, you know, martyrized or get sainthood when by the church. But seriously, my name is Jon Stewart. I'm 56 years old. I'm from Chicago. Former college, high school football player. Became a professional wrestler on ESPN. I did wrestling on and off for 20 years. I'm a small businessman, just really semi-retired, and it was after an appearance on Carrie's on Project Camelot. I think Carrie back in 18, where I brought forth some intriguing eyebrow raises about many subjects. One of them was the fortunately for me researching it, the forgotten 1997 alien interview, not the CGI crap you see has come out in the past 5 years. This is this bizarre, very nonchalant, no production value,
Facts.
a 3-minute video of an alien, a creature, a type of gray sitting at a table.
Mm-hmm.
And at about 2 minutes into the video, it starts to have a medical issue where 2 doctors come in.
And that's what we just watched.
And this video always bothered me from 1997 when I thought it was going to be something that I didn't when I saw it on TV to when I ran for Congress. And I'm trying to be very brief here because I have so much new information. Well, I have the bombshell. So, just sit back and tighten your seatbelt. But when I ran for Congress in 1999, what started off my, wait a minute here, was I campaigned with Senator John McCain from Arizona. He came in to campaign with another candidate that I had dropped out of a congressional race to help campaign with. And I went up to John McCain and I said, because on the bottom of this video says DNI/27, David November Igloo /27. I said, Senator, what is the Department of Naval Intelligence? What Victor tells us the acronym stood for? And this jolly, jovial senator, folks, turned at me, snapped his neck and said, you don't need to know anything about that, and walked straight to the bus, did not talk to me for the rest of the bus tour that night. Now, reporters, which I have become, basically, I've become an investigative journalist because I want to be able to come to people who are like Carrie, like you, and people listening to your show to say, I have done a job better than somebody from the New York Times, because there's no way I could say, I don't want to save face. I want to beat my chest and say, whatever you believe, this is what I found out. And this is what I was told. This is what I researched. And this is what jives for me, doing my vetting and sourcing and vetting of my source of people that have come forward to me. So when McCain gave me that look, I said, wait a minute, this is not a hoaxed Hollywood production when you're putting in acronyms of a division of the military that doesn't exist to this day, the Department of Naval Intelligence, but I'll tell you how it does exist. And it's pissing off and turning into a viper, a United States senator. Why would the Department of Naval Intelligence turn a senator into a demon? His eyes it was unbelievable, Carrie, the moment that I had. Fast forward, I lived the life I lived this blessed, exciting life of a pro wrestler. I'm an automobile dealer. I run for office, for Congress, for governor. And it was then I started to research one other little aspect of the video, and I'm moving quite quickly here, so bear with me, which was this physiological monitor. So we think. One of the things that I still haven't totally pinned down to say, aha, this is what this is. This was this glass with a blip going this way, not this way, and it seemed to be in conjunction with the alien.
Facts. Hey, man, listen, I've been wondering that same exact thing. You guys, I've been wondering the same exact thing for years. What is that? What is that?
but he wasn't receiving coherent
What is that
responses.
blue thing that's
As you
popping?
can
And
see,
it
the
does
being is
seem
in
to
real
coincide
distress.
with this being, right? It does. Anyway,
In his interview,
sorry. I didn't mean to disturb. Sorry.
At the end of the 3-minute video. So I talked to Jaime Musan, who is a journalist
Hey, Lavina.
in Mexico, very beloved, very respected here in the United
He
States.
just needs English
And,
subtitles. Will someone tell
I
him
asked
that? I
Jaime, I
tell
said,
him that every
What
day.
can you tell me? I know that you
Love
took
his show
this
on YouTube.
monitor video to cardiologists and heart surgeons. And he said, John, I took this to 13 thoracic cardiosurgeons, cardiologists, heart doctors, who all said that blip is in conjunction with the creature's coughing and movements. To be able to coordinate that with an animatronic doll and somebody at the other end, and we don't know still to this day how you would even manufacture this machine. And I'll get to that in a second. So this bizarre machine, in conjunction with the creature, the foundation of this being something real, Carrie, was starting to fall into place in a very creepy way. You and I have talked about this in the past 5 years. I don't do creepy. I don't do bizarre. I never was the guy in high school with the bad news. I hated the guy with the bad news, and I hate doctors that beat around the bush. I don't do creepy. Okay, so when a journalist from Mexico tells me that heart surgeons say that that monitor blip is in sync with the movements of the creature, and a United States senator wants to tear my head off, I think I need to research this further. So I went on Project Camelot with Carrie, with you, and you said, look up this gentleman, Andrew Burlington, in England. Now, Andrew ghosted me for like 4 or 5 months, making me work to show that I was sincere, which I found very ironic looking back 5 years prior, that this testing period, Carrie, and this is some of the thing that I want to get across, like not only just what I found, but like the drama and the journey of it all, that this testing period was very emblematic and common with whistleblowers and people that were involved or trying to help me with this video. And Andrew was one of them. And it was about 3 months that Andrew slowly started to, warm up to me in a degree. And I'm not going to go into, my relationship with Andrew, which kind of has fallen to the wayside, but I will compliment him in a substantial way. He said, John, just watch my Facebook videos. This creature's got skin moving, the eye socket changes. Now, yes, the video is very grainy, so you will see pixelation movements, but you see the eye moving, the eyelid tissue moving on this creature. Jaime Musan gets back to me and says, John, you have to zoom this creature's face in. His mouth opens instantaneously. They couldn't do this in 1991 animatronically. And this is what the alien was doing. Instantaneously. This was not possible in 91. And if it was Steven Spielberg, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
That is a fact, right? And here, you know what? I'm gonna actually take the time today, and I'm gonna enhance that video my damn self, and we're gonna zoom in, and I'm gonna stabilize it and all that sort of a thing. I'm gonna grab the original and I will enhance it, and we'll take a look at the movements of this being. Let's get a closer look. It's not hard for me to do that, but this is very, very, very interesting.
Of servos to make
Love
that
it.
mouth open. Carrie, am I still with you? Because I'm seeing something else.
Yeah, I'm bringing that.
Sorry.
Just to give people a
Let's turn to
brief.
the tape itself.
Sorry, I just want to show people the alien interview thing. There we go. Okay, so do you see that being right there? So they'll know, for people who don't know about this story. Sorry, there's the alien. Anyway, there's the alien. Let me see if I'll stop sharing that screen and I'll just keep talking. But
sure.
I just want you to know that I'm trying to bring a picture of the alien a little bit so people can get the idea.
And so I have, so I've got the heart surgeons, Jaime Musan, Senator McCain, folks, I do wrap ups a lot, so bear with me. I've got Andrew Burlington, who spent 4 or 5 years hyper examining frame by frame, saying something is not right with this creature, meaning this is not Pirates of the Caribbean and Disneyland in the 60s animatronic. This is highly minute movements. And Andrew and I posed the question, why would you spend the money, if you're hoaxing this video, to put little tiny movements in the creature's face and eyes that aren't going to be seen until 30 years later, till a proper examination is done on the video? And so, then COVID comes, and a person from Hollywood said, people are looking for good documentaries. Do you got anything? And I said, look, this thing has been bothering me for a year. This is the first time in my life I've had days off without it being on a vacation because of COVID. And I really started to fall and dive deep into this video. So let me go very quickly, because I've told the story on your show before. I try to approach this like a journalist, where I'm vetting my sources, and if somebody tells me something, I'm not going to give the stamp of approval until I've got 2 or 3 more sources. So I call Hewlett Packard and Space Labs. These were the only 2 companies in the 90s that made physiological monitors, right? Let's go right to the source. If I can prove this monitor is a fake, I prove the video is a fake, right? Of course. So I get 2 old engineers and I asked for them. I call folks, in a Seinfeld-esque, type of situation. I asked the engineering departments in the monitor section of these companies, Hewlett Packard, Space Labs, is there some old crusty guy there that's been there forever that could maybe answer some very old questions about monitors? And I got 2 gentlemen from each company on the phone. Sorry about that. And both of them said, after I showed them the video, we don't know what this is. There is no monitor where the blip goes up and down. Every blip goes across the screen, whether it's pulse oximetry or, EKG, electrocardiogram, so on and so forth. And the gentleman from Hewlett Packard, who was crusty and, ornery, he said, kid, it sounds like you got a one of. And I said, well, what's a one of? He said, well, in engineering terms, if you've got a problem or a situation, you have no way to examine it or monitor it, you would actually design and build a special product or device to help you figure out your situation or your problem. I said, would you build a special type of heart monitor if you were listening to or reading the heart of an extraterrestrial? And I thought he was going to hang up the phone. He said, oh, I'd absolutely do that. So I'm like, okay, this is, no one's laughing at me. No one's throwing me out of their office. And okay, so now the monitor, the 2 experts in physiological monitors are telling me that has not been manufactured, has not been mass produced, and they don't know what it is. The experts in the field don't know what that physiological monitor is. They've never seen it. So are we to believe a video production company in a strip mall in Southern California has gone on and created the most bizarre physiological monitor on the planet? Come on. I mean, it's crazy. It's part and parcel with the alien creature, which special effects people have told myself, have told Andrew Burlington, director Jeff Broadstreet of the 2 Victor documentaries, one in 97, one in 2008, that, this creature is $150,000 5-person animatronic doll if you had to recreate it. This production company via Sean Morton, who was at the offices and took part in the documentary, said, John, the Reicher Entertainment that put this on Strange Universe, they didn't have money to pay their help for the first 4 episodes of their series, let alone the Victor Alien interview. So I said, so now we've basically kind of proven that the production company who put this documentary out, they had nowhere near the means to create an animatronic puppet like this. So, I'm almost kind of like dead ending it to myself, but I'm trying to be a journalist. I need names. Okay. I want names. I want to find Victor because, and again, folks, I am just telling you my journey. You don't have to keyboard warrior me and tell me all kinds of hateful things. I am telling you what I experienced. However you want to process that. God bless you. That's your appetite. That's whatever you want to do. So I said to myself, I'm watching my dog one day, Carrie. I've got this Labrador retriever, and I'm watching her in the park, and she's flushing these bushes. And it dawned on me, I've got to flush out, if possible, individuals that might know something that maybe, because this was allegedly filmed at S4, the Bob Lazar infamous S4. And I said, I have to flush out individuals, that could possibly help me. So I started to book myself on internet radio shows like Caravan to Midnight and the Jeff Rench Show. And so, here's some weirdness part of the journey. 2 days before I go on the Jeff Rench Show, which was 2 days before Memorial Day, 2022, all of my read but deleted emails go missing on 4 different servers: Google, Gmail, AOL, and then my dad's email on my iPhone. I called AOL. I called Apple.
Whoa. That happens to be my area of expertise. What? There's only one way that would happen. Only one. There's only one way email is going to disappear out of somebody's mailbox. Well, 2 possible ways. 1, either the user deleted them, or 2, somebody accessed the mailboxes and cleared them. There's also PowerShell commands or commandlets that can be run against a user's mailbox to also clear it, right? But for that to happen on 4 different platforms, now that catches my attention.
Google. I made a report with the FBI. No one can explain how red emails were wiped off my phone on 4 different email servers.
Oh, wow.
Apple shrugging their shoulders. Very bizarre. Again, I'm not creepy. I'm just telling you what happened.
Well, I can tell you as a solution architect who is specialized in messaging and email systems that does not happen. And I'm serious. The only way that would ever happen, I'm telling you, I'm the one they call when people have those types of questions. The only possible way that would happen is if either he deleted them or somebody accessed that mailbox with administrative access. That's it. That's the only way.
So I go on Jeff Rench, sure enough.
Creepy though.
To see if I could metastasize this investigation, put it out, give it the Oprah effect, put it out more in the atmosphere. I got Andrew Burlington from Carrie Cassidy. What else could I get from other shows? And sure enough, I started to get an email from a person. This was going to be 21, right after Memorial Day. And his email was a series of numbers, and that's all I'll say, until his death. And I have the right to reserve and protect my sources, just like Woodward and Bernstein of Watergate and Edward Snowden. I have the right to protect these people that risk life, limb, and pension and career to come help me. And through the course of 9 months, this person, who obviously had some military background and intelligence information, was emailing me again, like Andrew Burlington, testing me, seeing how serious I was, correcting me on certain things, wanting to know what a little bit more than I knew. He was dumbfounded too by the whole John McCain, very impressed by the Monitor research that I did. And let's just jump forward because that's, we don't have 4 hours. And on my birthday, now I'm a professional wrestler and a failed politician. You can find my birthday on the internet, so it's not that weird. But on my birthday, I got from the horse's mouth. And I'm like, what is this? And I open up the email. And folks, you know, I know we're jumping forward a little bit, but there's so much more of the journey. Ladies and gentlemen, I got the names of every military person who was watching that alien interview behind the partition glass. I got the name of the person who helped the real Victor, who went on TV, sell this tape to Rocket Pictures in 1996.
What? 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 What?
I got the names. I'm sorry. I got who the telepath.
Oh, you got
telepaths
to be
were,
kidding me.
What their vocation was. Am I alluding to something?
Wow.
What their vocation was. Now,
Guys in the
this
chat,
was creepy.
or should I say to chat? I'm trying to find Jon Stewart's contact information. If any of y'all know his contact information, hopefully he'll say it in this, but I'm trying to find it. And I'm having a little bit of difficulty. So if y'all by chance come across it, let me know, but let's keep going.
Because for the first time in 20 years, and folks, I've shown this to 4 people: Gary Cassidy, Linda Moulton Howe, Don Schmidt, in person, the Roswell expert, and I also showed it to Scott Walter. Linda Moulton Howe, who I'm sure we all respect, looked at the names and said, "My God, you have gold." He said, "What?"
Oh,
said, this is verbatim. "You have gold, John. I've never heard of these people in my life. I've been investigating UFOs and the whole phenomenon for 40 years. I've never heard of one of these men on your list." I got the right time, Victor, or the right date. Victor was off by about a month. Of course he was off. He was trying to cause distance between him and the video and doing as much disinformation as he could. And I don't blame Victor for that.
Yeah.
We lied a little bit about the date. It happened in April. Victor said it happened in January. He lied about who was in the room, although he said there was a ring seating area behind the glass partition. So I'm a journalist. You know, I'm an investigative reporter. I want people like Carrie to be proud of me of what I'm telling you. So, 2 months later, Jon Stewart's full of shit. No, that's not going to happen. So I took the first name. Okay, folks. Folks, you don't know. Nobody has ever heard of these people. So yes, we will spill the names and the dates once legal has gone through it. So just bear with me here. You don't know them, so it doesn't really matter to this point. But let me talk about them. The first person, I Google him. He's a retired Air Force colonel. I'm like, well, he's retired back in 1991 when this is a hoax already. I've proven it.
Oh, wow.
Now I look into his bio. He was, after his Air Force career, he was a contractor for TRW. I mean, you might as well be a contractor for Lockheed if you want to be involved in aliens and Area 51. So I'm like, wow, not a hoax. By the way, his father is a very famous person from World War II, not Patton, not Eisenhower. So, but when you hear his name, you're going to go, oh yeah, I've heard of that. I've heard of that war hero from World War II. So number one, old guy, still living. He's got an answering machine it sounds like it's Shady Acres retirement facility. Still living, worked for a contractor, and that was the reason he was in that room. Number two, a rear admiral. He was in intelligence. You already know it's 91, so I can't give you specifically what exactly he did. He is dead. Looked like a nice, fun, you could just tell by his admiral picture. But Carrie, to pull up this name and see this admiral in an outfit and no one's heard of him. And of course, it's naval intelligence. So he's deceased. Number three, so interesting.
Found him.
Captain of naval intelligence, a captain in naval intelligence. So I Google him. He's a vice admiral, retired.
Wow.
I say to myself, because I have attention deficit disorder, hoax. This is a hoax. It says in the report that he was a captain. He's a vice admiral. And a friend of mine tapped me on the shoulder metaphorically and said, dummy, he was probably a captain in 91. This report is taken from 1991 when it was called an unauthorized viewing, by the way. That's what it said in the DNI report. DIA, Department of Defense Intelligence Agency, who runs basically S2 and S4. He said, John, he was a captain in 91 and 30 years later retired a vice admiral. Oh, okay. I have a program that can get people's emails. I get his email. He's got an AOL like me. I email him. He lives in Virginia. We're having this great email back and forth. And I want folks listen to me. I'm having this great email interaction, telling him that I've had relatives in the war. My godfather died in Vietnam. I'm trying to get bonding and relatability and how much I respect the military. And I do. I was almost going to ask him to go play golf when I visited Virginia. That's how tight it was. And he finally said, hey, you said you're a documentary filmmaker. What is this investigation you want to show me? Okay, this is a guy that wrote me back 4 times over the course of 3 weeks. I sent him the report that I was sent, which was taken directly from what I was told from the DIA computer. He ghosted me. I haven't talked to him since, and that's been 7 months. Folks, when you know contact somebody in 2023, and that speaks volumes. If somebody called me up and said, I heard as a pro wrestler, you and Hulk Hogan, started bonfires in the back of arenas, or I would have been like, hey, you're crazy. Never contact me again. You're obviously nuts. And you seem like a nice guy, but you're not. You're crazy. Goodbye. Nothing. And I've talked to intelligence people that said that is the fallback position of most intelligence people when they are kind of in the corner, is say nothing. And that is the position that the Department of Defense took when this video was exposed in 1997. Say nothing. And they haven't to this day. So that was weird. So I'm like, wow, there's an interaction. This guy didn't call me crazy. He just ghosted me. The next guy, the next guy on the list was a doctor. And in parentheses, it said scientist, ? So even my source reading this from the DIA didn't know who this man was. If you're going to hoax Jon Stewart, aren't you going to say this is a doctor? He was involved in alien pathology. No, you don't send somebody this list of people and put, I don't know who this guy is. I think scientist. I Google him. And my ass still hurts, and I use humor a lot. My butt still hurts from falling off the couch. He is still a practicing doctor, Carrie, in Connecticut. Okay. What did he do in 1991?
And what are they so scared
I won't
about?
give you what he
Why
does
are they
now.
so
It's the same type of thoracic, type thing. What did he do in 91? I looked on his bio. He was with the VA. And what did he do? He was a pulmonologist, someone that dealt with lungs. And here we have this creature coughing, gasping. Richter tells us that he's got a respiratory issue. And the doctor I'm sent in this hoax is a pulmonologist for the VA in 91. Does that even, is the puzzle piece falling into place?
Oh, yeah.
Let me continue.
Oh, shit. I listen, Momo, girl, you did that. Wow. No, this is good. This is real good. This is really, 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 really good. Wow.
Now, these are the 2 doctors that are taking care of the alien in the video. I've identified him. The second doctor I research his name. Sorry, I Google. I don't find anything on him. He's ghosted. And Don Schmidt will call that sheep dip in the intelligence community. They wipe as best they can a lot of your bio, so people like Jon Stewart can't find you. So I end up finding that he's deceased. Now, how could you Google a practicing doctor and you find really nothing on him? Does that make any sense? Again, folks, make up your own mind. Does that make any sense? I find his second wife, who he died, who was the widow. I call her. Very nice lady. I explain everything I am. Can you imagine calling somebody out of the blue? I think your husband worked with aliens. I would rather tell women that their husband was, dressed up in female clothes. I'm not even joking here. So Carrie, get this. I said, look, this is going to sound crazy. but I have it under very good authority that your husband worked at a facility south of Area 51 and was involved medically with off-planet beings, silence. She's like, well, that's very interesting, and that makes sense. And I went, I'm on the phone going, what? I said,
That's good.
why does that make sense? Yeah. She said, John, I loved him. He was a great husband, but my friends and I, for the life of us, could never understand why he never spoke of his time in the United States Army Medical Corps. I don't even know what the Army Medical Corps is. And I went, he never talked about it. He goes, John, she said, John, everybody I know that from World War II or Korea or Vietnam, other than harsh combat, they love telling funny stories about camp or with other airmen or sailors or soldiers. My husband never, ever wanted to speak about any experience he had in the Army Medical Corps. I mean, and then I, crawled off
That's
the
cool.
floor, put
That's
myself
cool.
back on the couch. Yeah. And I said, holy shit, what am I looking at? What am I dealing with? And then I get the telepaths, the thought projection people. Now, Victor said that Victor has said that this telepath program at S4 was a total joke. They were one level above like 1-800 number people. And so I didn't get the names of the telepath, but I got their vocation.
Sorry, but that's not true. But go ahead.
Okay. Well, I understand, but this is what Victor was saying, that
I understand.
he felt.
Well, it sounds like he was involved in a lot of disinfo as well.
Okay, but let me continue. Now, and I'm not jumping forward. I'm going to go back to the report. Months later, I get a source, which I cannot reveal at this point. And he said, John, the telepath program garnered very little. Folks, get ready to fall off the chair, except for 2, blah, blah, blah. Okay, vocation. Think of a vocation. Heavenly Father. He said, except for 2, blankety blank, that almost, he said, John, it was almost like they heard to the letter what these beings were saying. He said, there are stories of these 2 individuals, and it was 2 of them, the telepaths, who would sit down in front of the alien, and it was like they would turn around and say, okay, let me tell you about anti-gravity propulsion. What you do, he said that the military intelligence people would fall off their chair when these 2 came in for telepath sessions, because they were like a teletype. That's what I'm trying to, like just verbatim what the creature was trying to say to them. So I found that interesting, that, that again, I get a story of Victor that's backed, and then I get a turnaround story that says, however, those 2 guys you got on your list, yeah, those guys were the real deal. And let me tell you one more thing about, oh my God, in my COVID brain, there were a great story about this telepath program. The alien would say, do you know where I come from? And a telepath, one telepath was a farmer. There was another telepath that wasn't very educated at all. So I can understand his tongue-in-cheek about raising an eyebrow at the program. However, but this is an interesting little, I guess you would call this just a story. He said the alien would say, this was the problem with communication. Do you know where I come from? And the telepath would say to the military general or whoever was there, well, the creature's telling me, you know where I come from? I traveled a far way. Do you know where I'm coming from? Like what someone would say about their emotion in American vernacular, when the creature was actually saying, do you know where I come from? Like planet. So right. I thought there was a cute story that, these are little things that we've got a whistleblower expert on the other side of this camera that can tell you those things help fill in the little cracks of stories. Those funny or cute or bizarre little stories that I think are very hard to make up. So let me continue, finish with this. I always felt Victor lied about how the film was smuggled out of a facility where you are weighed naked going in and you are weighed naked. That, yes, naked. Your penis or your vagina is showing. There's a nurse. There is a medic that is sitting there looking at you naked, weighing you. Unless he put a thumb drive in his butt crack, and I'm not being facetious here. Let's drop all pretense here. There is no way that I always felt Victor smuggled out a CD-ROM. You go into S4, especially level 3 and 4, you know, like this, like the blackjack dealer. You don't go in with a knapsack and a bag, or you definitely don't come out with one. Because Victor was mad that people were bringing in personal items from their home and putting it on the desk. Another weird story. But you leave, you're leaving naked, and you're leaving with the clothes you brought on. So in the report, what does the report say? Bombshell. I've never told this to anybody. It was like Ocean's 11. The tape from the level of S4 wasn't stolen, smuggled out. It was let out. And the report says, after the interview, which lasted 15 minutes, it was the DNI's portion of interrogating this creature. According to my source, there was like a conga line outside of the ambassador suite to interview and insert questions to this creature. The DNI was the last intelligence agency to insert its 15 minutes of questions. Very interesting. And after this was done, I'm verbating the report, a United States Air Force policeman escorted the cameraman back to the Area 51 Groom Lake Photo Lab, verbatim, where 2 copies were developed. One copy was the master copy, where he put in the DNI 27, which when I tell you the 27, folks, you're going to fall off the chair again. And he made a second copy. On that second copy, it was 3 minutes were clipped off, spliced off, and put into a government-issued burn bag for disposal. And it was this bag that was smuggled off Area 51. I'm a reporter. Wait a minute. Could you smuggle anything off of Area 51? We have heard, I know I have now talked to the head of security for Area 50 for EG&G, Bob Lazar, and one other person that said there were certain guards who were very lax, didn't check pockets, didn't check bags, and I'm alluding to that, didn't check bags, so the burn bag was brought outside of some sort of security perimeter, and that's how it was brought out. It was brought out and smuggled out of Area 51. A man who worked for the DIA helped sell this tape with Victor, who went on camera to Rocket Pictures, who's also part of this smuggling, so to speak, is when Wendell Stevens and Bob Dean. And Bob Dean was thought to have the full film of this video in a bank vault in Paradise Valley, Arizona. I did the FOIA on this, that the FBI raided and it was not there. But Wendell and Bob Dean were 2 people that also assisted us. And that Bob Dean's name is not in the DIA report, but Wendell Stevens is in the report. Here is another bombshell. It's from the DIA, another packet of documents entitled The United States Investigation of Extraterrestrial Creatures or Beings, had autopsy photos and autopsy papers, all kinds of papers and information about creatures. That was also somehow, and I don't know if I agree with this, I believe this, but that was also taken off of S4 and onto Groom Lake. That I cannot vouch for, because I don't know if that's disinformation, and I have to understand that I could be part of the disinformation. So now I have now I've got the names. Now I've got to find. Now it says who we believe was Victor, this person's name, and believe me, I'm a man. I can tell you, I have been wrong in this investigation. So I know Victor's name. I know Victor's name. He would work for the DIA. He helped smuggle out the film and sell it to Rocket. And I know Victor. About 4 months ago, I realized that, you know what? Has anybody ever asked the director of the Victor alien interview, Jeff Broadstreet, the truth? Is he willing to tell the truth? He is the only person that we know that has come face to face with the victor that went on camera. And I paid Jeff Broadstreet a small sum of money. And why would I be ashamed of that? Why would that be nefarious? He is violating NDA agreements. He wants some financial recompense for me hopefully finding out who Victor was. He gives me Victor's first name. It's not the name in the DIA report. I'm like, oh my God. So thank God it was a weird name, first name. We knew the state that he was in. We knew he died. We knew he was alive in 2008 when he came back for the second documentary. And there's two people that are Victor. And I have the two names. Either one of them, mix and match. It doesn't matter. I've never heard of him. He was a scientist. And I believe, this is my theory, from Connor O'Ryan, the Navy SEAL who came forward in 1990, and the tape wasn't showed till 98, who said that there was collusion. There was a disgruntled group of people in S4, a biologist, another military person, Connor O'Ryan, and we think one other security person. And these are the people that conspired to bring out information.
Wow.
And
Good.
so after that,
Man, shout out to
then I'm on
him.
the internet,
Wish more
and
would
I
do it.
see this old archaic website. I think it's called the Bible Apocalypse. Forgive me, folks. I have pro wrestling brain. I see an email between a guy named Major Thomas Mack and one of the people, a guy's name, I think it was Rick Bossman. If I'm chopping this up, forgive me, but it doesn't matter because this is what the content said. I was the project leader at S4 of Project Aquarius. This dealt with any contact and any information or any anything to do with alien ET human interaction.
Okay.
My name is Thomas.
Can I ask you
Major
a
Thomas
question?
Mack.
Okay. I know you're on a roll, but can I ask you one question?
No.
Did you read the book
He's
by
going
Bill
so
Hamilton, Project Aquarius?
I did not.
Okay. So,
I
because
never even heard of it. Which
okay.
I will.
I gave you a huge list, right? Do you remember? I gave you a list. Yeah. Okay. So just saying.
So look like I'm a guy that does home. I'm sorry.
Yeah. All right. No, I just want to say, because that's another lead that I don't know if it contains any information. I can't remember whether it contains, that book contains. Right. I'm just saying, you're talking about Project Aquarius. Bill Hamilton wrote a book all about that. This is an older book.
Okay.
This goes back 20 years at least. When Project Camelot was back in the day,
Okay.
And I'm just saying, I interviewed Bill Hamilton on a number of subjects. He was very knowledgeable. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah.
So,
Thanks.
and I will read that book.
Yeah.
So I'm like, Project Aquarius, this guy's given his name, and then there's a picture of him at Area 51 in the 70s. It looks like a summer camp with the painted white rocks and these white buildings. I'm like, my God, I got a photo of this man. And down in the letter, it said, yes, I knew Captain Dan Burrish. And it said this. Now, remember, I have already gotten the names and information from the report because there was a couple of people that said, oh my God, of course, it makes all sense. Down in this email, it says, also, there was a sergeant named Rick Doty. He was our He was our counterintelligence officer at S2, S4.
Okay, but some truth, some falsity. Go ahead.
Totally. Can I, let me
truth,
finish.
some falsity.
Absolutely. And I still, the DIA report, I still look at it with the one Popeye eye, because I have to do that. I'm an investigator. I'm not, I don't want to pound my version into people because I'm not credible. So now my wife, because I'm not on social media, contacts Rick Doty on Facebook.
Okay, now that was why I couldn't find it, but I did get a message out to him, so I was able to Find his contact
I'm
info.
not going to tell you anything groundbreaking. I'm just going to tell you, because this is the truth of my interaction with Rick. I called up, had a meeting with him. I was at a McDonald's Oasis in northeast Indiana. I'll never forget it. And I said, do you know anything about the Victor 97 Victor interview? And he said, yeah, I know a little bit. And I said, well, you're going to change my life. Is it real or is it a hoax? He said, no, it is real. Okay. How do you know it's real? He said, well, John, let me tell you one thing. I don't know his name. The director of the documentary. I'm like, oh, we're going to the director now. I'm like, yeah. He goes, John, I remember in circles, intelligence circles, you know, guys having a beer, going to play golf, that when this documentary was being put together in 96, that director, and John, I don't remember his name, he went full force trying to vet and find out who Victor was, or, you know, find out if he was credible. Now, can we analyze that, folks? Here's Rick Doty. He's not telling me aliens are real, and, you know, he's just telling me a story of an intelligence about the director. And my point is this: if the video company hired an actor, why is the director doing such a vetted search that it is triggering red flags, or it is triggering the communication of intelligence people of, hey, there's some guy in Hollywood looking for some guy who used to be at S2 or work for the DIA. I could have hung up the phone right there with Doty. I'm like, oh, that's great information, because everyone in Hollywood, everyone in the UFO community, everyone in government has told me since 97, if you prove Victor, you prove the provenance of the video. We find out Victor is a paid actor, hoax. We find out Victor is some government employee. Well, what is a retired government employee doing with $175,000 animatronic hoax video? That's bizarre. So for Doty to come out of the gate with that, you know, like hearsay, almost conversational information, really, really excited me. Doty said that he spoke to Wendell Stevens about it. Again, there's no bombshells here with Rick Doty. That, you know, Wendell said he knew Victor. He got the tape from Victor. Victor was not a nice guy, not a guy you'd be friends with, but highly intelligent. Doty said, John, don't
listen, I have to say this. In watching even the alien interview, right, back in 97, I mean, when that video came out, I was watching, I had a copy of that on VHS, okay? And of course, over time, it became digitalized and all that, but I always thought that too, like the way that he came off was kind of like he probably wasn't a nice guy or whatever, but he did seem pretty fucking intelligent. And you know, just because they couldn't verify his identity, I would say that it did not stop me from believing that what I was seeing with my own two eyes, right? I mean, there's so many reasons to believe that video is real, because a lot of the tactics that they use in a lot of these fakes, these deep fake videos, you don't see that going on there. That's one reason. That's always one of the main indicators I use when I'm trying to determine if something is real or fake. Is, you know, because you get used to seeing these tactics with all of these crazy CGI videos that they've got, and you know, that they're making these days or whatnot. I mean, just recently, we just got an amazing leak of a tall white being. That is not CGI. That is a tall white being that was fixing its craft. We got 15 seconds of video, and it kind of went nuts a little bit. And a lot of people looking at it. I hope that it gets, you know, goes more mainstream, but, you know, I mean, you even see the eyelids of this being, you know. Anyway, I believed the video was real then, and I believe the video is real now, even more so. And this information that Jon is sharing is just, oh my gosh. Oh, that's the another video we received of an insectoid creature after the tall white. And this insectoid creature, very nasty looking, mean looking creature. I was told that it is a transiloid. There it was the audio or the video had no audio. And you know, and the things it was doing with it, it looked all slimy and wet, like it, very weird. But it's also on the channel as well. And like I said, if you have any media, including pics or video of any UFO sightings, aliens, or paranormal content, hit me up. Tips at LeakYou.com. And I also honor all anonymous sources, and anonymous sources are actually quite welcome. And yes, I can provide a secure way for you to upload data or to send data or to communicate, you know, in a secure fashion. If you've been abducted by aliens or UFO, please come and tell me your story. We want to hear it. Absolutely no judgment. I'm telling you, no judgment at all. But let's go. Let's keep going. This is good.
I also heard Wendell saying that at some point, and Rick was very, very guarded, like, don't take everything I'm saying, because I don't know if it's 100% truth. But he said, John, don't take this for fact. But I also remember hearing something about Victor helped, or was a patent on extracting protein from a blood sample, an enzyme, a protein enzyme from a blood sample. I'm like, Jesus, this is really kind of weird. Doesn't prove anything type of information. Like if somebody asked me about the automobile industry or pro wrestling or real just off the wall, like tidbits that I would hear in general conversation. And then Rick Doty said, John, I have never been below S4. I've never been in any levels. I've never had an alien in a government facility. I've never been in front of an alien in a government facility. To me, that was immense credibility. He said, but look, I'm going to make you a hero in the UFO community. I'm like, oh, okay. He goes, John, S4, it's not S4. He goes, it's S2. In the annex, to get down to S4, to then go to get down and then go across underground to the underground levels, which are called S4, starts at Annex 2. Here, hold on. Sends me a satellite photo that some guy sent him of the annex of where people would go to S4 to get to the levels. The levels are called S4. The entire area is called S2. Rick Doty said, John, stake my reputation, stake your reputation. What I am telling you is fact. And no one knows this. I am so sick of hearing of S4, S4, S4. The entire area is S2. The building to get to it is Annex 2. He goes, you pull down the ramp, you get out of your car, somebody comes in with an exhaust tube, you go into a little office, you exchange badges, and then you get transported over to S4. There's one level above, and then I believe four levels below. And those 4 levels are considered S4. But, and he said, and he goes, you will be, you will have credibility in the UFO community because I haven't told anybody this. And this was 2 years ago. And he has told that
okay,
on
but
camera now.
let me say this, that Sean David Morton was just on my show. He's an insider in many ways to this information. And
Right.
he mentioned S2 on my show. Just like
That's all. I didn't know that, and that's awesome. And Sean Morton, by the way, folks, has been with me every step of the way of this investigation. I mean, you want to, no, can I, and here's one thing UFO people don't do. They don't tell you inside about themselves. I will. I wear my heart on my sleeve. There are times I was ready to jump off a bridge, metaphorically. And if it wasn't for Sean David Morton, who was like, he's like, John, do not give up. You are on the right track. Telling me funny stories, making me laugh, bringing levity into this whole bizarre, creepy journey that I've been on. And so, don't believe Sean David Morton. He was investigated by the IRS. My dad was audited by the IRS in 1988. My dad's the straightest shooting businessman, car dealer in Chicago, or was. Does that make my dad? I lied for a living as a pro wrestler. Does that mean I'm a liar in my car dealer profession, in my political profession, as a human being? No, that does not. 2 and 2 don't make 4. So I love Sean Morton, and he has been with me every step of the way on this, and more than just helping me out with just encouragement. And Sean is a huge Derek Hennessy, Connor O'Ryan, this Navy SEAL guy, proponent, who claimed he was also down there. But again, this is bizarre. Hey, you've got all these whistleblowers, and none of them say, "Oh, I was down in S4. I was at the bottom level. I saw the alien." No, we don't have anyone saying that except Victor. If you're hoaxing, if you're a liar, if you're trying to convince people, I'm talking about the people that I have talked to.
I have people that have said that.
I'm talking about people that I have spoken to.
All
Nobody is this hyperbolic. Oh, I've seen it all. Beware of someone that tells you yes, 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 yes. And so that really was the end of the conversation with Rick Doty. Now, credit to him. He has always allowed me in the past 2 years, we the community needs someone that we can bounce technical terms off of. Rick has helped me with FOIA requests. The DIA said, well, where do I send this Project Aquarius department to? This was the DIA. And I said, I was like Rolf Cramden from the Honeymooners. Department, I don't know, the alien. She's like, if you don't give me a place to send it to, well, I emailed Rick. Rick, what should I tell this woman? He emailed me back, tell her that this S2, because the DIA runs S2 out at Papoose Lake. So for stuff like that, it was great. And my interaction with Doty was I appreciate, because it was not hyperbolic. I'm not saying that what Rick says.
Rick Doty works for DIA. He's always worked for them.
Oh,
he also works
I wouldn't doubt that. Once you're in intelligence, you always are. All I'm saying is that, Doty. This is all that this man has said to me. And he's been a very good source with, okay, that's the word. I'm sorry, football brain, with technical stuff that I would need in my investigation that whistleblowers would tell me. I'm like, I don't even know.
Okay, but let me tell you right now that the atmosphere in which you're doing your research, okay? We are so many years beyond this, right? This is very old information, but it's great that you're bringing it forward, okay? And that's what they want, actually. You're fulfilling a certain role that they actually want to facilitate. That's why Rick is helping you. So it's not just altruism, okay, from an agent par excellence.
I am not disagreeing with you, but I'm not saying that Rick was helping me.
What is their agenda? Their agenda is to start making people aware that aliens really do exist. Suddenly, they're reversing their course, and they want disclosure out there. They want it out there for a reason, which we could talk about maybe at the end of the interview. So go ahead.
Well, so I just want to say, this is all that Rick Doty has told me. People were saying, well, Rick Doty must have sent you the dossier with the names. I didn't talk to Rick Doty before I got this, and no one knows that too. I am telling everyone now, not Andrew Burlington, not anyone, that I was communicating with this person for 9 months until I got the names, and then 2 months later, Rick Doty was contacted. I want to be very clear on that. And so
now when you say you were communicating with this person, you're calling him this person. Who is this person? Are you at liberty to say?
I am not, and I will not. And like Woodward and Bernstein with
no, it's fine.
Apparently on his death, I will tell him.
Great.
But I did tell you one thing. Again, let's talk about the craziness of the journey. I researched the email that he sent me these emails from. Oh, this is really weird. All I can say is this: he is on the board of directors of this facility, and his daughter is an employee there. So I figured that.
And let me just mention this. There's more to emails. Things like message headers, right? And I can tell you exactly where those emails actually came from, down to their location, just by looking at the message headers. So not a lot of people know that, but message headers may be very helpful, to analyze them. Now, if you're not used to looking at message headers, you can bring up a message header analyzer, but you probably won't know what you're looking at. It took me about 5 years to be able to read a message header from the top down, without having to run it through an analyzer. Now I just read them like it's nothing, right? But just keep that in mind.
And it was funny because I would get one email once a month. And I know from my dad being on the board of directors of a credit union, they meet once a month. So in my opinion, and I don't think this is a stretch, when he went to the board meeting, he went over to his daughter's office, logged onto her computer, and sent me this email. Now, I've called her, and that is not her official work email, but it is an email that can be used at this facility. And so I here's this guy trying to help me. Now, Linda Moulton Howell says, before I told her, what was going on, she's like, I have been told that there's 6 individuals from DIA that are trying to get this information out. Now, Linda didn't know that this man that is communicating was from DNI. I still don't know that he's with DIA, but the report is he got it from the DIA. That he did tell me. So I find that fact, and here's a Linda Howe that heard this also. So there was a lot of, in the 5 years, one person telling me something that they heard in the 60s that matches up with somebody telling me something, from the 90s. Very, very, very weird, bizarre, coincidental stuff. So then now, and I'm going to eliminate all the names. This is a very quick story. So a TV star on TV, a past show, for a year, tried to hook me up with a person that works for an alphabet intelligence organization. The gentleman finally agreed to call me. This is why, Carrie, that I've tried to come forward. I'm trying to come forward to Congress, to 5 congressmen, just to give my information, because I'm a little bit nervous. And that's all I'll say. I'm not afraid of my life. I'm just a little uncomfortable. So this gentleman from a verified alphabet military intelligence called me. I'm going to give a bombshell on your show. I told you, another bombshell. If you've heard of this, then I'm a fool. So he's a very nice man. He was not hyperbolic. He was not weird. He was not UFO-y, but he had very close information from aliens. He said, one thing the government does do is if an alien craft lands, they film it, and that they want to disseminate that information, they will film a mock-up of that. He said, so be aware of that the government lets out information, whether movies or leaked videos, that maybe isn't true, but it looks just like what happened. This way they cause a distance between themselves, a deniability. I thought that was very interesting.
Well, think about the movie E.T., right? Remember that movie, E.T., and how that being E.T. looks pretty freaking similar to some ETs, right? I mean, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I mean, I could go on and on. Of course, they use, film essentially, and insert images into film, so that we'll get used to the idea, right? So we'll get used to the idea, y'all. Disclosure's here. Can you believe it? Wow.
Plausible deniability.
Plausible deniability. Thank you.
Yes, they reenact it. It's the same thing they did with the moon, but go ahead.
Exactly. So now I said, would you participate in this documentary? If I did the same thing with Victor, I altered your face, I distorted your voice. He said, send me the questionnaire. I will send it to my commanding officer. I sent him a very, let's cut to the chase. Are aliens real? How long have we had them? That type of question, 15 questions. I don't hear from him. He ghosts me. Here we go again. Somebody from the intelligence community just ghosting me. And I called the star of the reality show person or TV show person. And I said, this is not right. I'm a gentleman. I do not deserve to be blown off. At least tell me I'm alive. I can't talk to you. And he said, John, you're right. You do deserve that. I get this text message on Signal app, which is an encrypted app. And I am not being verbatim because I was asked to destroy it, delete it minutes after I read it. And I do everything a whistleblower tells me to do. But this text message said, I have been informed, not by my agency, but by a higher up in the DOD, that you are now a cease and desist, no contact order. I no longer can have any communication with you. Your subject matter is blacklisted by the DOD. That is all the video, the film.
Wow. Okay.
Victor film. The whole subject of somebody's.
Okay. Can we stop right there for 1 second?
Absolutely.
That's great stuff.
That's scary. That's so scary.
But just let me tell you one thing. Department of Defense out of the Pentagon is at odds with other agencies, in particular the DIA. Okay, you can appreciate that, yeah?
Yes.
That's why they're saying that. Same thing happened to me, but go ahead.
Okay.
So, and I'm reading this, my hand is shaking. I'm like, this was like somebody wrote this for him. And he goes, please do not contact me again. Do not find out my identity. You are not to cut and paste this. You are not to screenshot this. You are to destroy this immediately.
Right.
On the bottom, he has a code name that he uses. It's a literary person in literature. And I'm not going to say it because it doesn't matter. And then after all of that were these bizarre, I call them like Department of Defense, Pentagon, military, like vernacular codes, like VVCC 5.415. This complies with, this is also part of the dossier, like dossier. Oh, and he said that you are on the watch list due to frequent FOIAs, the nature of your questionnaire, and your overseas emails. So thank you, Kerry Cassidy, for hooking me up with Andrew Burlington, because he's the only person I've emailed overseas. So that put me on the hit list. So, but one thing he did say, and this is a bombshell, and if anyone knows this, then I'm wrong. But he claims that that he told me something that, again, like Doty with S2, and I appreciate these guys giving me what I would appear nuggets of. He said, John, and I'm telling this to everybody, so you can turn up your volume. The new acronym for extraterrestrials is SABRE. Now, I don't know if this is true or not. Synthetic Astrobiological Extraterrestrial Races. Now, has anybody ever heard of this before? I gave it to you. Give me some credit.
Now stop right there. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
I have not heard that exact thing, but I can tell you that the understanding that is
extraterrestrials is SABRE. Yes, everybody. So, you can turn up your volume. The new acronym for extraterrestrials is SABRE. Now, I don't know if this is true or not. Synthetic Astrobiological Extraterrestrial Races. Now, has anybody ever heard of this before?
Wow.
I gave it to you. Give me some credit.
Now stop right there.
Wow.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
I have not heard that exact thing, but I can tell you that the understanding that is now out there permeating everything is that in the end of the day, a lot of what we call extraterrestrials are actually linked to AI, maybe even created by AI initially. So it doesn't matter what shape or form they take, they're all linked, a lot of them, to what I would call Borg intelligence, which is AI. Okay. So, and the AI is greater and beyond this solar system. Okay. So this is where, there's an agreement among those people and me and certain other people like Courtney Brown's remote viewers. It's important to know.
With
that's why they start with the word synth.
So I said, wow, I've got something. And I Googled this, and I talked to people in the UFO community, everybody from Greer to Linda Moulhouse, Schmidt, Sean Morton. I mean, you name Michael Carter, who I would like to talk about later, my angel. Angel, said, John, nobody's ever heard of this. So before he goes to me, he got me some interesting information. That was about 5 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, I called the DIA. Hi, what is going? And I make DIA people that pick up the phone in the FOIA department laugh. There's a black lady that she's like, oh, I've got so many stories because of you that I'm going to tell on Thanksgiving. And, I try and, and this has worked in my investigation. I'm not a gotcha journalist or I just sit there. I ask a question. I listen. I'm a good listener, believe it or not, from my blabbermouth. And so last 2-3 weeks ago, a person named Andrew at DIA, I said, what is going on with my request for Aquarius? And he said, what is your name? Jon Stewart, Jon, spelled like the comedian on Comedy Central. Not lying to you. Right hand of God on the souls of my children. I don't know any fathers that say stuff on the souls of their children. He said, Mr. Stewart, I've been at the FOIA desk for a long time. I have never seen this before in my life. Of course, it's Jon Stewart. I'm George Costanza. Of course, it's got to be some bizarre. I've never. I've heard that in my life a million times. He's like, I've never seen this before in my life. I said, seen what? He goes, your name is on our computer without a file attached. I said, why is that bizarre? He said, you can't get on this computer list without a file attached. I said, well, what do you make of that? He said, I don't know. And I don't know if you want to know. And I said, okay. He said, I will research it for you. He said, but somebody removed that file attached to your name. And I don't know how they could even do that because I can't do that. And there is no way you're on this computer without a file attached. Not 2 hours later, all of a sudden they find my Project Aquarius and it says, yeah, it's the second paragraph. Of course, I'm not being verbatim. We're going to get back to you on that one. Due to the nature of this information, we have to ask other departments, other agencies, and conference with other agency heads to then decide where and when we can disseminate this information to you. Oh, okay. So I'm blacklisted by the Pentagon. I'm the only one a FOIA that's got a name without a file attached. I am simply stating, I'm not patting myself on the back. I'm just trying to explain to people, what do you make of this experience? What if this video is fake from 1997? Just hear me out. And you've got a former pro wrestler, a failed politician, a used car dealer that's telling everyone, people are telling me this is real. And this is what I found out. Why are you blacklisting him? Why is his name on your file on your computer system without a file attached? Who is removing this file? What information does this, this middle-aged guy from Chicago have that is so scary or devastating or sensitive? I'm asking that as a question to your viewers. I don't know either.
Well,
but if it's a hoaxed video, I find it funny that.
Okay. Well, let me tell you,
setting off red flags
Jon,
everywhere I go.
let me tell you.
Yes, ma'am.
Part of the situation is because you're such an everyman, okay? Because you ran for Congress or whatever it was you ran for.
Right.
I remember.
Congress, governor. Yeah.
Congress, okay. Anyone like that who ran for an office, who has some kind of public visibility in the mainstream, we're talking mainstream. Okay, I have no public visibility in the mainstream, okay? So I get away with murder, whatever you want to call it. You, however, this is the thing that makes them nervous because you had, not so much have, but had public visibility, okay? It's the same with Jesse Ventura. It's the same with, I could name a whole list of people. And these are the ones they worry about, because when every man who is known to the public and has some kind of following, like on a, popularity, it's called popularity. Yeah. Even David Icke had this kind of boost to his career. It's popularity in the mainstream. Yeah. When you have that,
Okay.
that's when they watch you the most, and that's when they're most concerned because you could turn other people in your direction. Okay, so it's all about influence and the circle of influence that you have. So whether even though you retired or you haven't done any running for office lately, that's the danger
Right.
that they see. So it's fine, but it also gives credibility to a degree to your story, right?
Absolutely.
That's what you're saying, and that's true.
Why are you taking a bucket and running out to the backyard if there's no fire? You know, couple of very interesting,
That's cute.
couple of very interesting stories. Don Schmidt, the Roswell expert, he lives in Wisconsin. I met with him for breakfast, showed him the whole report. He has a colonel in the Pentagon. He spoke to the colonel about me and about what I have found. And the colonel said, what does this guy do for a living? He said, well, his family, they ran a car dealership. He said, oh, that's interesting. He goes, because I want you to tell this man what I'm telling you, what is going on in the Pentagon. You see, we're at the Pentagon. We are in the front of this guy's car dealership. We're selling cars and we're greeting the public, and, you know, we're the face of this business. This is a colonel from the Pentagon. He said, but there's a hallway at this dealership and it goes real far down, and there's a locked door, and we look out the back window, we see trucks and people going in and out of the warehouse in the back, and we can't ask any questions, we can't knock on that door, and we don't dare open the door, and we don't ask what's behind the door. And you tell that guy, me, that is what is going on at the Pentagon. We're not fools. We know they're hiding something. We know that, you know, there's something very bizarre and strange and cosmic going on behind our backs, but we can't do anything about it at this point. So I thought that was a really, you know, interesting story. And I will also, let me give you one other thing. You know, I just didn't go with Andrew Burlington's video examination of this creature's video. I am again, investigator. So I paid $2,500. National Geographic paid a man called Bill Mums, who did the investigation and analysis of the Patterson Gimlin Bigfoot video. National Geographic hired this man. He's a special effects and a video analysis expert. Now you're going to think I said, oh, he said it was real. No, what he did tell me was one thing that I will share. He said, John, that is not a foam latex animatronic puppet. He goes, there are no creases in the armpit. Now, folks, if you think just the head is shown, you need to slow down this video. The light from one of the doctors shines on this being's chest and shoulders and shows it very clearly. This is also on Andrew Burlington's website. And you will see under the armpits, he said, when you create a foam animatronic creature, folks, listen to me. You have to lay it down after it's hung up. And when it lays down, partially dried, the arms must come down on the body, creating a crease. He said there isn't a puppet alive that doesn't have some sort of crease in their armpit area. He goes, on your alien, there ain't no puppet. There is no arm crease, I mean. And he said, and I found it funny, why would you hoax a gray alien and not make it gray and not have almond eyes and have round eyes? He said that doesn't make sense. He said, you send in the doctors, they're in short sleeve scrubs. They're not in biohazard suits. If I was hoaxing that video, I'd have them in biocontainment suits. Sean Morton totally agrees with this lineage of thinking. Like, if you this is the worst hoax ever perpetrated on man. You have two people in the background of the video behind the glass that all you see is their silhouette. Why would you pay actors and then only show their shadow? I mean, just nothing makes sense of this video. And that brings me to the Hollywood equation. I have 15 to 20 people in Hollywood. Sean Morton says the same thing. For 30 years, not one credible human being in Hollywood, the bragging of the braggers. I did this. I was with Kevin Costner on this. Everybody brags. Not one person in Hollywood of credibility in 30 years has ever come forward, has ever said at a pool party, has ever sat at an award ceremony. I did the catering on that alien thing. Yeah. You know that alien? I did the spray paint. I was one of the animatronic people working the controls. You know that little physiological box? I made it. I did the accounting for no one. Folks, no one. 30 years later, no one with any credibility has ever come forward. I'm to the point where I got to stop my investigation because I can't find the devil's advocate. And this brings me to last week. I'm sure we have all heard about reverse speech. I think his name is David Oates. I happen to believe in reverse speech, that it does give you a glimpse into the subconscious. I'm going through YouTube and I see 1997 alien interview Victor analysis. I'm like, oh shit, here we go. This is it. We're going to get reverse speech. I am fake. This is a fraud, puppet, something like that. Okay. This guy has busted. No, I'm not saying he's right, but this guy has called into question on reverse speech David Lazar, Hoagland,
Bob Lazar,
Mars guy,
You mean
and
Bob
Robert Hoagland, and also the blonde haired guy who was always on
David
Wilcox.
Wilcox.
Oh, I am pulling shit out of my from my football brain. I can't believe I remembered that. So he has just tried to allude that not everything these people saying are true. I click on the Victor video. I'm like, this is it. 5 years. And not that I have a stake in it, but I tend to believe that this is completely legit from everything I've experienced. And I have vetted my sources and my information. What does he say? He reverses Victor's speech and they're from the Pleiades. I'm nervous. Or he alludes to the fact that Victor is very uncomfortable. The treatment of the aliens, some kind of reverse speech about the treatment of the aliens. And he says that when the video is done, that it is in my expert opinion that Victor was 100% telling the truth about this alien figure. So
cool.
I can't find anything anywhere from Hollywood to government to whistleblowers to reverse speech to video experts, anyone of any credibility that says, oh no, that was fake. I've got the dates right. I've got a facility of nomenclature correct. I've given you the new name. I mean, I think this is great. I think we ought to put this everywhere. The new name. So according to this guy, if we start talking about this SABRE, an acronym, that this is going to make people do head spins at the Pentagon, like, oh, the info's out. I don't know if that's true or not. But yeah, the designation SABRE. So, I am happy to report. And yes, if you give me time and we work through the legal, I will give you all of the names of everyone behind that partition. I will give you Victor's name. I will give you the DIA employee that helped the cameraman smuggle it out of Area 51. I'm going to give this to you, but I'm here to tell you, you have never heard of them. And it will be a little anticlimactic. There is no Stanton Friedman. There is no, Bob, there is no one on this list any of us have ever heard of, unless you're a relative of them. And so that, I don't want to say like this is big bombshell that's going to happen. I'm going to show you the names. And we will, I don't want people going to these doctors' office. I don't want people going to the condominium of this vice admiral. So we are trying to work that out. I can tell you.
All right. Well, let me say this though. This is a little bit cautionary because you're coming on my show. We're talking about this. I think you did this on another show, right? Recently?
I did what? I talked about?
Yeah,
but I did not mention SABRE.
On a show. Yeah. Okay. I don't know what show it was, but it doesn't matter. I'm just saying. The thing is, though, now that you've come out and you've said this, and now you're saying you're going to put the names out, that's actually not kind of smart to say you're going to do this. You should be doing it and walk away.
Okay. Well, let me say
putting yourself in danger when you say you have something that's explosive, because These
All
people have
right.
homes and families and the rigmarole. And, it's dangerous to put yourself in that kind of position. So I just want to caution you. You said
I
that
appreciate that.
on my show. I'm
I
giving you the
appreciate that, yes.
option. You don't want to have a time delay, because what's more likely is you'll never live to tell the tale, or they'll interfere with you in such a way that you won't make it to reveal the names.
Well, I want to speak
if the names are really real, unless they're fake names, but go ahead.
Okay. Well, there are names that are attached with real people. So I don't know why somebody would pick such innocuous names, why somebody would pick someone who wasn't in the military as the first name, but became a contractor. How someone uses the ranks in 91, not the ranks in 2023. So, but I have sent the names to you, Linda Moulton Howe, Don Schmidt has them. I have 4 law firms that have these names. So it is out, if I can't ever tell the names, there are many people that have the full report of this and the names. 2 of the law firms that have names, I went to in such secretive that I took an old car without my cell phone. So, I have taken steps that I have taken that people.
Wow, this is
could
absolutely
some kind of a dead
amazing.
man switch, that people could also tell the report of who these people were. But more importantly is they're not anyone famous. They're not anyone that will be, it's just regular military people.
Yeah, but that doesn't make
it's a little
it better.
creepy too.
That doesn't, I think you get this wrong a little bit. Just to say, it doesn't make it better that they're not famous. It makes it worse. Do you understand that?
Yes, that could be true. That could be true.
I'm just saying. Now, I don't want to put, why are you bringing the names forward? Let's talk about that.
Because I'm a little nervous. Yes.
What's the point of the names? Okay.
The point,
who cares?
The point of this is that proving that the Victor video is the first really accurate portrayal of an actual ET on film, with provenance, with names, with dates, with facilities, with people over decades cross-referencing and cross-checking and backing other statements. That is the point. The point is, I have proven that the United States government has had a retention and interrogation program with extraterrestrials. And I have proven that this video shows an actual extraterrestrial.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because everyone told me.
That's good. And, in my world, this has already been proven, but in your world, it's not. And because it's a mainstream kind of thing, I appreciate all of that. So let me go back to an email you sent me and review a couple of things with you, okay? Because I think you've got some interesting statements in here. And I also want to draw people's attention to the article that you got published, okay? I put it on my Telegram. This was a week or 2 ago. And it's there, but I'm going to show it on the screen here in a minute. But first, I want to go through this situation because it's a very interesting thing. So Senator Marco Rubio and Kirsten Gillibrand have ignored your emails and letters requesting what you called whistleblower protection, correct? Is that still correct?
That is afforded to in the 2023 NDAA legislation.
Okay. Are you saying that's correct? Though what I just said, are you saying it's correct that they've ignored your emails? Because this is important.
There's more of them too.
Because Marco Rubio has been a person who has been mentioned, for instance, in regard to Mark McCandlish, who is another whistleblower who actually was killed in a fake killing where they said he killed himself with a rifle of all things. And they killed him, to shut him up because he contacted Marco Rubio and tried to get the Senate Intelligence Committee to consider his testimony with regard to what's called the ARV, et cetera. So the fact that you mentioned him and you contacted him and he's done nothing, but he is on the record, strangely, as a person who wants to get this Senate Intelligence Committee to consider the alien question, supposedly. Now, why would a person like that, who's supposed to be a proponent of this disclosure, ignore you? It's very interesting. Any ideas?
Well, let me continue with that. And this is going to enrage your viewers. I hope it does. They should, if they're Americans, or if they have any type of propriety with government. Representative Mike Gallagher of Wisconsin was the person that introduced the whistleblower amendment. So you have a congressman saying, I am going to introduce legislation to help people come forward. I drove to his office. I handed just the letter saying that I have information on this project. I just want to get this on record. I never told him what I was. He didn't know if I was examining people on Mars or a UFO or whatever. It was just a query letter that said, my name is Jon Stewart. I ran for governor in Congress. You are the person that put forth the whistleblower legislation. How do I go about doing this? Never called me back. I talked to his staff 3 times. Never. Why would you put this forward and then not have the information to call this person back? The same thing with Rubio and Gillibrand. They're out there. They were just out there 2 weeks ago. We have this whistleblower amendment and we're going to have people coming forward. And you call their office. They don't know the email. They don't know the contact information of this new, it's called the All Anomaly Domain Resolution Office, headed by Dr. Rickards. And nobody knows the phone number, the address, the email, just typical ineptness of Congress. Now, Tim Burchett, Congressman for Tennessee, has anyone seen what he said in Newsweek in February? He said that there's aliens, we've reverse engineered craft. This is in Newsweek. I call his office.
But
I talk to a person.
They'll tell you there's aliens. You know,
well,
all these
so
people.
I called this man. I called this congressman. I talked to his Rep Des. Talked to me for 20 minutes, Mr. Stewart. I'm going to forward this. We're going to get you the email. We're going to get you the contact information. All I'm asking, like I did when my emails were stolen with the FBI, could you give me a website and I can say, look, there was a film. The DIA tagged it as called a unauthorized viewing of an actual extraterrestrial. I happen to have about 99% facts or stories and proof that this was real. I just want to get this on the record because someone from the Pentagon said, don't talk to this guy anymore. And that made me a little nervous. I'm not looking for a grandstand or congressional hearings. You know, this film has been out for 30 years. So, but that should piss you off that 6 members of Congress who are out there, I'm the alien killer. You come to me when you whistleblow. Okay, I've come to you. I've come to you like a statesman who ran for governor, not some kid in his mom's basement on a Corona manual typewriter, chain smoking, typing manifestos. I'm a gentleman. I'm a businessman, you know, and I am coming forward with this information, sorry. And they have all ignored me. They don't even call me back to even find out what my information is. So that should really piss people off. And I'm not stopping till I get an article in a newspaper. This was American Thinker. They're highly regarded website, very conservative and website, read in Washington, D.C. I thank God for them letting me tell my story, but I'm going to continue forward for someone to put this in actual print media. And so we are working on that now, just to simply get my story across. That I got to the top of this Mount Everest called the Victor Alien film, and we've proven it. We know who Victor is. We know the provenance. We know the record of the theft out of Area 51. And again, I have said this on every video, and I know military people are listening. I have nothing but respect for the military. My godfather died in Vietnam. My great uncles were in Vietnam. My dad was in the Navy. My dad actually worked in the squadron where John McCain trained on fighter jets, if that's not weird enough. But I don't think any colonel in the Air Force grew up as a 5-year-old to be locked in an underground facility examining off-planet creatures and keeping this secret for the rest of her life. I don't think that's a dream of anybody in the military, in my opinion. So I just want to say that I respect the men and women, contractors, military employees, you name it, who have had to keep this secret to themselves for all these years. You in a bizarre way, are heroic to some degree, that this secret was forced upon you. I am simply here to say this is the most obvious situation in America. We all know that beings from other civilizations, planets, dimensions have come here. Can we just freaking come out of the closet? That's all I'm trying to do, is help the government come out of the closet in regards to this alien phenomenon, to say, look, we're not going to tell you everything. We can't tell you everything. And I want to make a comment on that too before I leave. But yes, we have, just like Congressman, if I'm in trouble, then they're definitely going to kill Tim Burchett, because Congressman Burchett of Tennessee said in Newsweek a month ago, we have alien craft, we reverse engineered it, and we've had alien bodies. So he's as much as in trouble as I am. So it is obviously that.
Yeah, they don't like congressmen or women or people that have run for office to actually come out and say this stuff.
Okay,
so
I appreciate that.
I put your article. Can you see the screen right now?
Yes, I can. Yes, ma'am.
This is my Telegram channel. It's already on there, but I put it on there again. It's got a nice picture. I don't know where you got that, but it's quite a nice picture, and it shows your article. All
the American
about
Thinker did that picture.
Yeah. So if people who are watching can get the interview quite quickly. That was not an interview, but the article. So that you know where it is. It's on my Telegram channel, which is called Project Camelot. And you can also go to my website to get the link and just go directly over there. So, okay. So we've got that. Now let's talk about this situation, because these people, when they go on grandstanding, like Marco Rubio, he's actually gone on the record several times, supposedly trying to encourage so-called, what we call disclosure, for lack of a better word, right? Which is getting the truth out about the alien situation, which I do every day of my life. But I'm a fringe person, you know what I'm saying? And other people who are in the know, like Sean David Morton, who's written, I just had him on my show last week. Thank God he's recovering. And he talked about his books, all about the beginnings of Area 51, et cetera, and who ran it, and so and so. So let's really deal with this, because I want to make sure that you are known so they will not mess with you. You see what I'm saying? The more you're known, this is just a premise of Camelot, Project Camelot. We always say the best place to hide is out in the open. Yes, you've got to be out there. And that way it's less likely they're going to knock you off. It doesn't mean they won't, but they still, it's difficult for them, because you might become a martyr and you might draw more attention by knocking you off than by letting you speak and then try to discredit you and make you crazy, right? Now, the other thing is that everything you said is very well backed up. I hope you have more than this article, because the article doesn't really reveal what you've talked about here on the show.
No, right. No, of course. Yes.
Okay. So what would be really nice, do you even have a website? I don't know.
Not yet, but we are developing one, because it's to the point where people are like, you're not on social media, you know? So, and that's
okay. But I thought you also had a television show coming out. No?
Well, that's the documentary that we are currently producing. And can I say something about that? I want to personally apologize to anyone that has emailed me, written me, called me, texted me for the past 5 years. I had no idea the glacial speed of Hollywood is so slow. And I've been telling people the fall, it's coming in the spring. And I just want to say, I walk my talk. I try and be a gentleman. I'm manning up. I am sorry for maybe misleading people that this documentary was coming. It was coming. We are in this phase. We are trying to sell this to Netflix or Hulu, and that process, the creation of what's called a sizzle or promo reel on all of this, and going through legal. Think about this. Who does this tape belong to? Not Victor's testimony at Rocket Pictures. Who owns that 3-minute tape of that creature? Now, if the government sues us, well, then they're admitting that it's their tape.
That's right.
That they filmed it. So interesting legal question there.
A catch
So
22.
there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of legal footing of that we're also. So I just
listen, man, this is amazing. I'm going to drop a link so you all can go finish watching the rest of this on Project Camelot's Rumble page. And I've reached out to Jon. I was able to locate some information that I believe is his email address, and hopefully I can get him to grace us with his presence. It would be an honor. I would love to hear everything, everything that he has discovered. It's absolutely amazing. All of these things he's been able to tie together over these years or whatnot. We would love to have him over here, and so I hope he'll get my message. Anyway, guys, thanks to everyone who came through. Before I get up out of here, let me just pay a bill or two, if that's okay with you. Shout out to the Leak You community. Please join us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Amazon Music.
Please hit the like. Thank you.
The judgment sentence that you are an asshole. The trial is over. Thank you, everybody.
Let's play a game. You have 10 seconds to take all your stuff and get out of my life. 10, 9, 8.
God bless you, motherfucker.
You're really smart.